Welcome to Ready, Set, Stream. I'm Richard Davis.
And I'm Aaliyah Andres. On today's show, we will be putting a spotlight on local athletics.
Some of these sports might be more unconventional, but the dedication and passion of its athletes is what unites them. The Club Crew World Championships are just around the corner for Dragon Boat, a local boating team in Vancouver. These paddlers are training in hopes of being able to compete at the international level.
The thing I love most about dragon boating is it's been really transformational for me. Like, I've definitely pushed myself to areas I never would have thought was possible. Like, I never looked at myself as like physically capable in like a sporting way. Like, I was like always like strong, but I was never like purposely strong. My name's Alicia Backus. I paddle with Juice Dragon Boat in Vancouver. I've been paddling for 2 years.
My name is Andrew Enders. I paddle with Juice Dragon Boat. My ultimate goal is to be on the boat that goes to Ravenna and compete at the Club Crew World Championships. Club Crew World Championships is an international tournament where the world's best teams from countries all across the globe compete and duke it out to see who's the fastest.
I'm definitely aiming to be on the boat that's going to Ravenna.
On Juice right now, we have roughly 75 paddlers. Taking to Club Crew, we'll be taking only 26.
I'm reasonably confident that I'll make the boat going to Ravenna. I got a lot of stiff competition and I won't go down without a fight. I'm
optimistically hopeful. I don't want to say I would be confident because I think that would be far too cocky. But I'm really hoping that I can. Like I said, we have a lot of really fast new people that joined and a lot of fast existing people, and so we'll see how it goes. I'll definitely try my hardest to be able to make the boat.
And then the second drill is applying the hips through the air work and through the pull and making sure we remember how to stay connected.
There are a few things that we look for in paddlers on the team. One of the big ones is strength in the gym. So our team is historically very technical. However, we've been lacking some of the strength in the gym and the power to be able to push that boat speed up quickly. Beyond that, it's really standard. It's more so about commitment to Dragon Boat specific fitness, so being able to get lots of time on the water, get that work in, as well as being able to move in the same way as a team. So making sure we're really sharp with our technique, making sure that we're able to paddle as a crew, and together as a team sport, that'll give us the best performance possible.
To me, gym time is more important than water time because I currently lack the strength. I'm very heavy and I need to pull my weight a little bit better. Over 10 years of training, my technique has gotten pretty good, but now I need the muscle mass to supplement that, and gym will help me with that.
To me, I think a balance of the two are important. When I first started paddling, I didn't gym at all. I only did water time, and I did get reasonably fast doing that, but I think now that I have a little bit more experience paddling, I think gym's a lot more important for like getting faster because you need more of that strength base. I think though I need a lot of tech improvements.
Although I've had lots of experience at the national level, I've never participated in any tournament at the scale of Club Crew World Championships.
I'm actually really new to competing in competitive sports at all, but I was able to get good enough at it that I was able to make the race roster my first year, and then in my second year I made the roster to go to nationals. Hopefully I'll keep the trend going. Just go faster.
And do better.
While most of us remember dodgeball from a school gym class, some adults are embracing the sport later in life. The Vancouver Dodgeball League is the place to be for dodgeball fanatics.
really got me into this sport was actually the community here. They do a really amazing job in bringing people from all walks of life, and it's a lot of fun. Good spirit, sportsmanship. It's a great way to spend one of your weeknights, and ever since I've been hooked. I think as a regular spectator, you'll watch VDL and it looks like a lot of chaos. There's a lot of action going on, but it's organized chaos.
10, 9. Oh!
Like everyone else, I played this game back in elementary school and I guess high school. So when I guess moved here a couple years after, something in me just told me I should Google Dodgeball Vancouver and see if they have a league. And then yeah, you start playing and it's like, adults take this game seriously.
I guess my next step is qualifying to be the final 12 on the national team. Right now they selected about 25, 26 for the national team for the men's squad. So my goal is to be on that team, and they'll be competing in Austria next year, which is where Worlds is.
I do eventually hope to get better and better over time, and I noticed like a lot of self-improvement even in the last like 9 months since I started playing. The adrenaline is fun, I guess. I mean, especially when you like multiple balls at once and then you're just like the last person there, everyone's targeting you, and then you make like 6 dodges, like 3 balls at once.
But there's so much action, it's hard to kind of catch everything. So there's an element of honesty, and I think that really comes from the culture within this league and just the spirit.
Dodging over to the West Vancouver Otters Swim Club. They will hold their 2023 awards ceremony at the Pinnacle Hotel in North Vancouver. Our very own Melanie Levesque has more about who's coming to this event.
Hi, so Nathan Clement is coming to the event. He's an Otter Swim Club member as well as a Paralympic finalist and world champion paracyclist. He will be speaking about his time at events such as the 2016 Rio Olympics.
And how does this event benefit local swimmers?
Well, all of the profits from the ticket sales of the event will be going towards the club's initiative and the 9 teams that are part of the club. Back to you.
Thanks, Melanie. The UBC Thunderbirds football team is off to a strong start this season. One of the team's leaders is quarterback Garrett Rooker, who is having an exciting season less than a year after suffering a devastating injury.
Big freshman receiver in the game now. Rooker's keeping at the 5, fakes the throw, vaults it, and he is into the end zone.
Garrett Rooker. Are you kidding me?
I'm Garrett Rooker, 3rd year here at UBC, and I'm on the varsity football team, and I play quarterback.
He will indeed he keeps it. Instead, he finds Lucas Robertson down the sidelines. The big tight end rumbles, and he scores a touchdown.
It was week, I believe, 7 of our regular season last year in 22, and it was in the first quarter.
I think it was just an unlucky, I don't know if we could replicate that again.
I rolled out, cut back, and basically 2 guys landed on my hip, and my hip kind of went straight into the ground, and the 2 guys' force was on top of me, and it dislocated right then and there.
Team star quarterback out of Texas. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
that is
boy. We don't need to see that one again.
I've told people this before, that I think the last time I missed a practice was my junior year of high school because I had a stomach bug. So this was the first major injury that I had to go through. For the first initial start of rehab, I couldn't move at all. I was basically immobile for 2 months.
I don't think many people could come back as fast as he did, and I wouldn't recommend it unless they passed and qualified to do all those things as Garrett did.
You leave the hospital and they say you can't put any weight on your leg for 8 weeks. So that was tough to hear, especially as an athlete where you're constantly moving, you're constantly competing. But I just had a really good support system around me when I was in that stage.
He came in here smiling every time. We spent the whole summer getting his movement efficiency back up because the first probably 3 to 4 months was all in here.
Yeah, that was probably the first exercise I ever did, was bike. You can adjust the tension, and the load that you can have on the bike. Another exercise would just be, I'm right here, and instead of just movement, just stationary. So I'd just be sitting here for like 30 seconds with like toes up, just hold it.
Whatever we threw at him, he was all over it. And he was really good at communication, and it was always with a smile on his face.
I think the biggest thing that I noticed is you got to warm up longer now. Ice baths were huge. I still ice bath multiple times a week.
Training camp was huge. Having those 3 weeks to compete with the guys and being out here and getting reps was huge for our success at the start of the season. I think it grew my love for the sport to get it taken away from me. I've played this game since I was 7 years old, so to be away from it for 10 months and kind of not knowing when I was going to be back was hard for me. So just trusting that process and kind of taking it day by day and seeing it all work out and all your hard work, it was awesome. We have a lot of guys returning that came back that could have left. There's a lot of high hopes, a lot of high expectations from outsiders as well, but we're kind of focusing on internally and what we want to get done. And the goal is to just take it week by week and face the next opponent and win that game and move forward from there.
Second and long for Garrett Rooker. Steps back in the pocket, puts some air under this one. Shamar McBean, touchdown! UBC Thunderbirds, Garrett Rooker delivers the perfect ball.
Coming up after the break, we take a look at aerial acrobats, rock climbers, and archers.
And live here in the studio, we learn new ways to work out at home. Stay with us.
Hello, I am Alicia Nolasco. I'm a broadcast and online journalism BCIT second-year student. One of my favorite things here on campus is definitely being able to have equipment, professional equipment. Like there's so many creative ways where you can use the camera, you can use it in like cinematic modes, you can use it for like documentary purposes, video journalism, so you can use it by yourself. You get to understand how a professional camera works. For your career as a journalist, it'll help you big time.
Climbing's impacted my life as a whole in a lot of ways. I would say the most obvious is that I spend 15, 20 hours a week climbing. It's just a big chunk of what brings meaning to my life, and climbing really just made me a much better person.
In Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
Welcome back to Ready, Set, Stream. For our next story, we head up to Squamish, where a former competitive rock climber has found new meaning from the sport.
Climbing's impacted my life as a whole in a lot of ways. I would say the most obvious is that I spend 15, 20 hours a week climbing. It's just a big chunk of what brings meaning to my life, and climbing really just made me a much better person. Hi, my name's Zach Bloom. I am a debate coach living in Squamish, and I like to rock climb.
Envoy, belay on, climbing, climb on.
Sick. I would say it's about exposure. So trad climbing is scary, alpine climbing is scary, some bouldering is scary. And the key to overcoming that is just to expose yourself to it in lots of different situations, trying to control the risk and consequence, going out with people who you trust and you feel safe around, and then just kind of increasing the boldness of the things you do, commensurate with the experience that you're gaining and developing. I started climbing when I was about 8 years old, and then maybe when I was 11, I started to take it seriously, and I started to get really into competing. I started to do well.
Come on, Zach!
I was good, but I was never special. I never really quit competitive rock climbing. It just sort of ended for me. So my focus changed a little bit to just trying to train to boulder really hard. That was my idea. And then this training sort of culminated in pretty bad tendonitis in my elbows. You know, you're hanging lots of weight. I just got hurt. And so it got discouraging for me, and it sort of took a backseat in my life until 6 months or a year ago again when I picked it up in the context of climbing outside in Squamish. I've been climbing outside in the summer 3-4 days a week. I don't have a gym membership anymore. I don't train anymore except that I climb. And it's really just that since I stopped competing and since I got injured, the emphasis of climbing totally shifted to being with friends, being outside, adventuring to the top of objectives that inspire me. So when I climb the Chief, I find it beautiful. I find the lines motivating and inspiring, and I want to be there. You know, I like going to the Rockies. I like climbing mountains there. I want to go to Patagonia. I want to explore the beautiful, prominent mountains of the world and climb the most beautiful, inspiring lines. To me, climbing is a way to adventure in nature, and it's a way to conquer risk. I do not think that the purpose of life is to excise all risk. I think it's important to do things that are dangerous and to do things that scare you, and that, I think, is where the feeling of accomplishment and adventure comes from. And for me, climbing is the way I express my warrior spirit of just embracing risk and pursuing the things that inspire and scare me. The rediscovery of why I loved climbing was with outdoor climbing, was with spending all my time in the woods with my friends, scaring myself, going on adventures up big, inspiring climbs. That shift was, brought about by mental and physical barriers, but I think has made me, I would say, a better climber in the ways that matter, and a better person.
If you're interested in rock climbing, BCIT's Rec Center has recently reopened its own climbing space. The upgraded area is approximately 600 square feet with wall angles spanning from 0 to 45 degrees, and it's open to climbers of all levels.
Speaking of the Rec Center, host Nathan Maley is here with the Fitness and Wellness Coordinator for the center. Our guest is going to guide us through some convenient home workout strategies. What do you got, Nathan?
Thanks, Aaliyah. Today I'm joined by Tyler Embree. Ty, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, of course, mate.
So how long have you been a trainer for?
I've been a trainer for about 25 years now.
And do you have a personal favorite part of your body to work out?
Yeah, I do actually. Posture. I like sitting up nice and tall. I think it's something that you can work on at all times, and it's really important as you get older.
And what about a favorite specific exercise do you think you have?
I like compound exercises because they're time efficient, and it's combining multiple exercises together.
Okay. And we're gonna, you want to show me how to do those today?
Yeah, we can do some stuff today.
So for people who don't have weights, what are some convenient home items that can be used?
Yeah, well, we have jugs of water. Those are a little heavy. You can use soup cans, or you can use anything as long as they weigh the same for the left and the right.
Okay. So what are we going to start with first?
So squats are pretty easy. You're just going to have them by your sides, and we sit nice and tall, and we're just going to stand up and sit down.
Okay.
So just like this. Yeah.
Anything specific for form here I should worry about?
Just make sure that your left side matches your right side.
Okay.
And maybe one more?
Yep.
Yours are a lot heavier than mine. Yeah.
So for some people who maybe are worried about going to the gym if they've never been, do you have any advice for them about being nervous about going in?
Yeah, I would, walk around, find a space that you're comfortable with, get tours, get to know the staff, definitely talk to a trainer so they can kind of help you with being nervous in that space. It's really not that scary.
Okay.
So.
And then what are we going with next?
Yeah, I would, do bicep curls. So just have them by your side, and you can just bring them up to the shoulders and then drop down. Yeah.
Okay. Anything specific form-wise here as well?
As long as the left side matches the right side and you're nice and tall, you're doing a good job.
Okay.
And then you can even switch to shoulders.
Okay.
Yeah. So then you just press up. Yeah. And then I would lift the chin. Yeah, you got it, mate.
Whew. Feeling the burn.
It's heavy. Good.
What have been some like crazy at-home workouts that you've seen in your time?
Yeah, well, during the pandemic, everybody had to get quite creative. So I guess, you know, a lot of different injuries and awkward movements, but I think the most creative was a squat rack made out of wood.
Okay.
I don't think that's
No,
the safest.
I saw people using their dogs as like a bench press.
Yeah.
Would you recommend that? Or?
Depends how much the dog weighs.
Okay.
I don't know. I also like compound exercises.
Yeah.
So you put them all together.
Okay.
So we'll do the squat, curl, and shoulder press.
Okay.
Yeah. So stand up. Yeah. Curl, turn, press.
Okay.
Yeah. Easy, mate.
Do it again?
Yeah. Okay. And you know, this is probably works every muscle in your body, so it's probably my favorite thing to do.
Do you think people should try and just learn the basics of doing each one first, and once you get more experience, you put them all together?
Yeah. Always start with what you're comfortable with doing. You know, always talk to a trainer. They can help you out. You always want someone that's certified and knows what they're talking about to give you instructions.
Okay. And how important would you say your pacing should be when you're doing these?
You know, slow and steady always is best. Whatever you're comfortable with. Everyone's always different, but slow and steady is safe.
Okay. Well, I thank you for taking the time to be here today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And if you have any more questions, you can find them around the rec center, and we'll send it back to you, Richard.
Thank you, Nathan. The physical art form of aerial is usually seen at the circus, but here in Metro Vancouver, the niche community welcomes athletes of all skill levels. Although this activity isn't your typical sport, it takes just as much strength and coordination to dominate.
Typically, most people know it from like circus shows like Cirque du Soleil, and I like to tell people when they don't know what aerial silks is, the ribbons in the air, that's what it is. It's not actually ribbons, but it's what most people know them as. My name is Dana Chan, currently 29 years old. I'm known as an aerialist, coach, and friend.
My name is Charlotte Tong. I am 33 years old, and I am an aerialist.
My name is Cindy Lan, and I am 29 years old. I would like to be identified as a aerialist or an aerial instructor.
An aerialist is, I would say it has quite a wide definition. Anyone from a beginner student to a professional performer could be an aerialist. I think it's quite an inclusive term. So basically, if you're interested in being in the air on an apparatus, you could probably count yourself as an aerialist. It's a big part of my life. I started as a student, got addicted, and then started teaching. And now we're here opening our own studio. So hopefully, for the long term, I'll be owning a studio, working on running the studio.
All right, so this is an aerial hammock, or also known as aerial sling. It's tied at the top of the fabric, the two ends, and it's hung up at whatever height I want. Typically, if you switch the rigging, so you tie the loop, and then you have the tails hanging, it's called aerial silks. And then for the sling, sometimes you can do stretches on it, and that's typically aerial yoga. For aerial hammock, which is what I call it, we typically have a mat under, and we do more tricks. So both our feet are off the air, sometimes we're spinning, doing drops, and other dynamic things.
I started off coaching in 2017, and funny enough and nerdy enough, my favorite part of coaching is actually getting the younger students to learn about physics and getting the older and adult students who fall in love with getting the accomplishment of achieving something, because aerial is hard, and they might feel frustrated at first, but through practice and through techniques, they're able to get the skill that they couldn't get maybe weeks ago. We usually have this mentality that, oh, if something looks smooth and looks pretty, it's probably pretty easy, because we do need to be having the strength to pull ourselves up as a bare minimum. And depending on what skills you do, you might need the flexibilities, and also sometimes you need to have the mental capability to kind of work your way around the material.
Passion for me comes from conquering a new challenge. I feel like in aerials there's always another thing to learn, another skill to master, so it's almost never ending.
I think I often forget where I started because I'm always just looking ahead at what I want to do. And so sometimes we're so caught up with like the next big thing, we forget that like that used to be a struggle, and now it's just our warm-up. It's amazing how far I've come, but at the same time, the part of me is always trying to look ahead and trying to be like, what's the next thing I can try and do?
A middle school archery club in Langley is shutting down after nearly a decade of providing kids with after-school activity. Now the club is left searching for their next target.
This is David Sanquist, teacher and archery coach.
So I opened up the HD Stafford Archery Club back in 2015 when I was still teaching at that school. It was just to try and get more kids doing the archery.
After 8 full years of after-school activity at HD Stafford, the archery club's storage space has now been given back to the school cafeteria so that the kitchen can get back up and running.
We totally understand why they needed to take the space we currently were using. They made it clear that they really needed that kitchen back up and running, and they just decided that it was just not meant to be. It's been hard on me because of the fact that, you know, I do put so much into it.
Peter Koivenhoven has had kids in the program and now has to find a new place for his kids to practice.
It was 2 years ago in October, this month, it was 2 years ago, right? So David got us into the sport, and we loved it so much. My 6-year-old daughter has picked up a bow this year and is liking to tag along with her older brother. I've gotten involved with coaching and helping David out as much as I can, and the thought of not having that this upcoming winter, it's brutal, right? We're stuck. Where do we go to shoot?
The archery club is one that attracts the kids that don't go out for your typical school sports. So your volleyball, your basketball, rugby. These are kids that aren't going to be signing up for those sports. Archery is a lot more individualistic. And I found that a lot of the kids that were coming to our program were often kids on the spectrum, and, you know, kids with ADHD. Archery allows them to really focus, and they really get, you know, in the zone, and they can be, you know, really successful at archery, where, like I said, in most typical school settings, they're struggling.
There's no plan in place yet for the HD Stafford Archery Club, but in the meantime, David and Peter will continue to search and shoot.
We've got a couple irons in the fire. We've been in discussion with a couple of other schools around relocating there, but again, storage and gym time is an issue.
We want to still be with David and Stafford, whether it's Stafford or whether it's at another school. We want to see the club still exist.
With no resolve in sight, the archery aces of HD Stafford are left searching for their next bullseye.
Coming up after the break, we chat with a local lacrosse player about the sports addition to the Olympic Games.
And we head back out to the field for a look at both kinds of football.
Going live in 3, 2, 1. BCIT Television and Video Production. You've got potential.
Welcome back to Ready, Set, Stream. The sport of lacrosse is set to be put in the Olympics for Los Angeles 2028. Our very own reporter Liam Higgs is here with a collegiate player to learn what this means for our local lacrosse community.
Thanks, Richard. I'm here with Giancarlo Garcea, a current player for SFU's lacrosse team and a former player for Notre Dame High School. So, Giancarlo, what does this announcement mean for lacrosse?
I think this announcement is fantastic for lacrosse. As of recent, lacrosse has been more in the public eye with the NLL and the PLL League, and I think the Olympics is just the next step for its popularity. And I'm excited to see where it goes with it.
Awesome. Obviously, it's been quite a long time since the Olympics brought in lacrosse. It's nice to see it in there. How did you personally or any of your teammates feel when this announcement was made?
Personally, I was ecstatic. Me and my teammates were also pretty excited because after the university level, we can continue to play lacrosse in a different aspect. That's not just the NLL or the PLL. The Olympics is a great way for us to continue playing the sport that we love, and it's pretty exciting.
So we talked about it a bit off air, but for the format they've decided to go with sixes style, which is field lacrosse with 6 players. Do you think that was in the best interest of the Olympics?
For the Olympic stage, I think that the sixes styles is fantastic. Not only does it encourage more people to come join the sport, but it's easier to watch and it's easier for someone who doesn't know it to get into. There's less players on the field and the rules are different. So for people who have never played the sport before or who are just getting into it, I think it's a fantastic entryway.
Awesome. And some of the other things we talked about was a bit, maybe some of the struggles with lacrosse breaking into that mainstream sport, trying to become a hockey or a soccer or an American football. Do you think that this is the perfect step to becoming that sport?
I think that this is just the next step for lacrosse to be becoming that popular because lacrosse faces a lot of challenges right now, as in it's not in the mainstream very much, and it's a very expensive and confusing sport to get into for new people. So I think the fact that the Olympics is taking it in the sixes format is the best way to do it, honestly.
Awesome. That's actually a perfect segue into the next question here. So we talked a bit about some of the challenges that the sport faces going into that mainstream media. Maybe elaborate more on that. What do you think are some of the challenges that this sport faces?
Some of the challenges that lacrosse faces is that it's a pretty expensive sport to get into, and there's a pretty high skill ceiling that a lot of people, it can be kind of daunting to. But the fact that it's doing this way, I think that it'll be the best way for it.
Awesome. So just last couple questions here, but again, we talked about the sixes format, so I was just wondering, make sure that it was, instead of box, why do you think not box?
Well, I think it's not box because it's less physical, so it's less demanding for people if they want to finally get into it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the interview today. I'm glad to see you on Ready, Set, Stream. I've been Liam Higgs. He's been Giancarlo Garcea. I'd like to thank him for joining us today. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Liam. Turning now to football, for one South Korean international student, his love for the sport has helped him power through his injury recovery, and now he's determined to try and make it as a pro in the XFL.
My name is Peter Lee. I was born and raised in South Korea. I am 23 years old now, and I'm still an international student in Canada here, living off of visas and just chasing my dream, really. School is one thing, but yeah, it's for me, I'm just here as an athlete. So I started playing football when I was 15, and I always had a vision being an athlete as a kid. When I first came here in Canada in 2015, that's when I first discovered this player, Odell Beckham Jr. However, when he made them be like, I want to be as or greater than him. Yeah. I basically have to run a route and catch the ball. That is my primary job as a receiver in football. And catching the ball is one of the greatest feelings in my perspective because that's like my passion. And I believe it's love that I have for the football that just makes me want to catch even more,
My name is Milton Nevy. I'm 31 years old and I'm a strength conditioning coach. I make sure that we have a structured schedule. So we have our strength days on certain days, we have our speed days on certain days, and we got our recovery as well. Then we'll get right into some fast twitch muscle fiber work. Then right after that, we'll hit up some strength work, and then we'll touch a little bit of explosive work here at the end.
There's not a day in my life where I don't think about football. So music is definitely a big part of my life, and when I listen to music, all I think about is just football. It's always about football life. It's easy to say that I'm obsessed with the game. What they do is they call out all the players around the world, basically come out and, see what you got. But before you do that, you gotta provide them with your highlight video. And once you do that, they go through your film, meaning like your highlights, to see you're at a level to compete at this level. And once they approve your highlight, you're basically registered as a potential professional football player. Yeah, so I'll be going to San Diego within like 10 days from now. At the moment, I'm just kind of rehabbing my hip, but regardless of injury, I am ready. They just come to me right now and tell me to run a route, catch a ball, I'll do it. Injury is not really gonna stop me from playing football. There's a quote that I kind of live by, which is, you gotta work while they all play.
Moving from the gridiron to the soccer pitch now, we're the Football 5 Sports Center, which is a place for players of all ages to train and improve. It's a passion project from a local entrepreneur and provides a feeling of community for the soccer community.
Football 5 is basically like a cultural hub. So we have teams and groups of, different ethnic backgrounds, different soccer backgrounds that, meet here every single week. They play in a community setting, kids with adults, men and women, all mixed. In terms of events, we do tournaments. We run adult tournaments for soccer, and then a soccer league, and this is for adults. And then we also have friendly exhibition matches. We do rentals. We have baseball, softball, cricket, lacrosse. We run youth sports. We have football for youth, like American football. We host assessments for organizations, and we host corporate events as well. I started playing soccer when I was 7 years old, and I started coaching when I was 15 years old. I follow Argentinian soccer, not really Canadian soccer, so it's a little bit different. My father played professional in Argentina. That's basically it. It's the excitement, it's the involvement, it's the community. I think the most rewarding part is just people's enjoyment in general, just seeing how much people enjoy what we provide. I started training people as soon as I could get my BCRPA. 16 years old, I started studying, and really the only motivation was just because I'm so genuinely interested in, fitness, sports, helping people, having something that we can do together, something that we've established, that we've kept going for so many years through so many tough times. It really, brings us together. We just thoroughly enjoy it. At the university level, the Canada West Women's Soccer Playoffs begin this weekend. 3 Lower Mainland schools have been qualified. Both UBC and Trinity Western have byes to the quarterfinals, while UFE plays Victoria in a first-round game on Saturday.
The 2023 Western Hockey League Cup runs from Wednesday to Sunday this week in Red Deer, Alberta. Now, Team BC are the defending champs, and its team features 10 junior players from the Lower Mainland.
That's all we have for today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in to Ready, Set, Stream. I'm Aaliyah Andres.
And I'm Richard Davis. We'll see you next time.